call
I
it.
suppose you could.
We could call it good.
Not much happened today.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's last.
All right.
Quite a bit of that second half was chaotic, I would say, but especially.
That's a good
the
word
last
for it.
90 seconds, Coach. What would you say about what transpired there the last 90 seconds?
Well, fortunately the zone worked. They didn't turn it over in the three-quarter court part of it. They didn't turn the basketball over, but they didn't score 3 straight times. Is what I think. It was 3 possessions, and we scored on all of those to get ourselves from down 55-50 to I think we were in the lead when that was done. So fortunately the zone worked for us and able to pick up some possessions. Yeah, and then that last part of it, our possession wanted to make sure that we shot it at 30 or under so that they wouldn't have a second possession. If we shoot it up around 40 or 42, which would have been kind of quick, but there's 19 on the shot clock and still 45 on the game clock. Had we come down and if we shoot it with too much time and they're able to go down and shoot the basketball and there's 36 seconds left in the game, so now there's another possession. So I wanted it all the way down. AJ made a good decision to not pull up and shoot a jump shot. He turned it down and drove it, turned his shoulder down and drove the basketball, and the guy made a good play. Otherwise, he's getting a layup or he's possibly getting fouled and going to the line. So that part was good. And then that, for us, that last 7 seconds wasn't close to perfect or what it's going to need to be. They were able to score too quick. 5 seconds to get end to end, get a basket. So now there's still 2 seconds left in the game, and we've got to take it out. And we didn't execute that last 2 seconds very well. So having said all of that, the long-winded answer, it was perfect. It was great the way it turned out, Cole. Yeah, everything was perfect that last 90 seconds.
Just the bigger picture, I mean, even though it was an ugly day at times, to get a win and get something positive moving into the week off, how is that?
It's great for the guys, and I talked to the guys about this for quite a while after the game. It's been a grind. Not the early part of the schedule was a grind. We had plenty of practice time after, now we've been back for a long time. This month we've been in town, we've been on the practice floor, we've got all kinds of time to clean some things up. I haven't done a good enough job of moving us forward this month. That part's been a grind. Within the basketball game, and you guys, I know you guys are here and I really appreciate it, seeing you guys at our stuff all the time. So you guys seeing the same thing I am. Isaiah missed a 1-on-0 dunk in the second half. Biggie missed a tip dunk that wasn't Wyatt was out front in transition, and he started that first dribble and took one look, and the ball bounced off his knee. Guys, that's this game Wednesday. There's some possessions that are just a little bit tricky, and I bring that up because that part's been a grind. That wears on you as well. So I just think it's great that the guys can have some days at home with their family right now, and they were going home no matter how this game turned out, and I would have told them the same thing, to enjoy the time with their family, but now they can really enjoy with a real smile on their face and not be thinking about a game that we weren't able to take care of. So I'm really happy for the guys. It's been a grind.
Coach, you mentioned some of those crazy plays. Biggie, that last missed dunk. Then you had a good play come after that with Wyatt being in the right spot to make that go-ahead jumper.
Yep.
You have the 5-second violation, but then your defense rebounded and buckled down and didn't let them get the ball in there at the end. Can you draw some pride in just kind of the way the guys are kind of responding from some of those odd plays?
Yeah, and one of the spots that hurt us on Wednesday, we talked about, guys, with Grand Canyon got 15 offensive rebounds. And the way that game turned out, that was probably the difference in the game. There was a couple other things that we felt were key when it was over, but them getting 15 offensive rebounds was probably the difference. So we talked to our guys about turning the tables there, and we actually end up with 15 ourselves tonight, but that was an emphasis for us the last couple of days. And going into tonight's game, we sent more guys to the boards and coming up with 15 offensive rebounds. That part of it, and we wanted the guys to get out and pressure a little bit more in our man-to-man early on, and it was fine for the first 5-6 minutes. Once they got a little more comfortable, we started to foul them a lot. So sticking with it through some of the things that I talked about, and being able to make some plays when they had to. And I would, the Grand Canyon game didn't go our way, but we came back and made some plays and got things rolling in that second half and got the lead against a very good team. Tonight, after getting out to a great start, things got they almost stopped for us offensively. And it just got to be really hard again, like it's been for us. But they stayed with it and made, Wyatt getting the shot that you talked about, guys not, continuing to talk and make the right switches and just try to find a way to make that 2 seconds go after we had made a mistake. So I got no complaints with the guys in terms of their, wanting to get this thing going the right direction.
The trust and comfort level with Biggie over the last, I don't know, a few weeks or a month or so, how much has that grown for you and him?
Yeah, he had a great one tonight. To get 16 and 11, and of those 11 rebounds, 7 of them at the offensive end. So and we used him more picking and popping. We saw that early in the game. He was able to get a couple from the 3-point line. But he's worked through it, not playing a lot early on. And he's done some things in practice that have helped him. But also the Grand Canyon game, the Iowa game where we played him extended minutes really for the first time. Like those, he showed enough in those games. And he's got a bright future. He can do a lot of things.
We've seen in the past, Coach, where you've gotten into a lineup and stuck with it for an extended amount of time. But Luke McDonald didn't play in the second half. Does it fall under that umbrella, or is there more there?
Yeah, no. Biggie, he's had a good stretch. Yeah. He, as we were just talking about, he's had a good stretch of games and practices, and so we left him in there. And you bring that up, Cole, with Trey had sat. We had the lineup that we liked, that was playing pretty good, and Trey Burhow had sat for a long time, and we put him back in there and made that big 3 in the corner and got one for sure, maybe more than one defensive rebounds when we were in zone, and that's a hard thing to do when you sit. He had sat there for a long time, and there was only 3+ minutes to go in the game. So I give him a lot of credit for staying in there and coming in and making a couple of big plays late.
Along those same lines, with Taiwan, what do you want to see out of him still, and what's it going to kind of take for him to make more of an impact there?
Yeah, against Grand Canyon, played 34 minutes, and did a good job getting 7 rebounds and 2 at the offensive end. And tonight, it didn't feel quite as good. And that's the spot he's in right now. He's not all the way back. So it's going to take a lot of work outside of practice. It's going to take a lot of work with our strength coach. It's going to take a lot of work on the conditioning side of it. It's going to take a lot of work getting in on his own with ball handling and shooting jump shots, and because teams they're just giving him space right now, and he's not real confident in that jump shot. And we got to get that back. It's hard to drive the basketball when they're not guarding you on the 3-point line, and he's kind of stuck in between right now where he isn't real comfortable shooting a jumper. And the teams we're playing against know that, so they're standing at a spot where he isn't able to drive it. So just got to put in a lot of work, and they'll be at home, so it won't be the next 3 days. But when we get back, we've got 3 days then before Stony Brook, and then a couple of days before we see Bradley for the opener. And he's got to put in a ton of time. He's got to get in the gym and get to handling that basketball and shooting a ton of jump shots, because he's got to get back to where he was a year ago.
Everybody's well aware of AJ's physical talent, but what's it say about that kid young man that he was able to make the adjustment, look at the film after getting those double teams late against Grand Canyon, and then somewhat similar scenario in the latter half of this game, and he's able to respond and make the right decisions.
Yeah, and I really liked that tonight, the way he played against it and the improvement he made from game to game. And then also, I mentioned the one where he turned down the jumper because he felt like he could get by number 1 late, and he got himself to a great spot on the floor. So he's either going to get a 2 or he's going to get fouled. The guy made a great play, like I said. And as a freshman late in the game, to make that decision and not just shoot a jumper when you're real comfortable, shooting that jump shot, I thought that was a great play. And then his leadership was better in this game than it was in the Grand Canyon game. By nature, he's quiet. And today, in all of our huddles, he either at the start of it when we got to it or when we broke it, he was talking about getting a stop. And that's the most vocal that I have heard him coming in and out of our huddles. And that's one of the other things we talked about, was keeping a bounce in his step, no matter how the game's going, doing a great job in terms of the communication. And we saw some of that tonight as well. So he made there was 1, 2, or 3 different areas where for a young guy at that age, it's a great move forward in a short time. Good? Yeah, thanks.
Merry Christmas.